Hey, 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 my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards, and this is Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman is two, a blue, a black, and a red for a 3/6 legendary creature human scientist with flying, and the following effects. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Then each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player discards a card, or you may put a construct, robot, or vehicle card from your hand onto the battlefield. My kitty cat. Give me it. So let's go over it step by step, right? First off, Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman is a character from Sonic. This is from the Sonic Secret Layers. I love him. I think he's such a cool character. He's one of my favorites. I love everything about the Sonic franchise, aside from some of the really bad games. But the card itself, color-wise, it's Grixis. That's giving you three really good colors. But since I don't discriminate against colors, because I think all colors are useful in Magic the Gathering, having three gives it 3 out of 5 points for that. Mana value-wise, it's got 5 total mana with 3 different colored pips. That's going to give it a 1 out of 5. As we know, 5 mana is not the easiest to get out. And on top of that, having it come out with needing 3 different colored pips can be annoying. Where sometimes, not every game, but there are going to be games where you just go, I don't have the right colors, I can't get Eggman out, this is not fun. It also makes colorless ramp not as useful, because only 2 of that colorless ramp is going to be helpful to get Eggman out. Protection, interaction, and card combo, it has none. As of right now, there is no combo to infinitely take end steps to draw your deck out, and there's no combo to force your opponents to have a villainous choice forever, which wouldn't win you anyway without a lot of steps. But it does have card advantage in the form of an other. This is other, meaning 4 out of 5, and not whenever, right? Whenever triggers just more often, usually at least once a turn, on everyone's turn, giving you 4 card draws or more each rotation, whereas other is either you have to put mana into it, or in Eggman's case, you just have to draw a card. You make it to your end step, right, to draw a card. And although that's really good, as it does give you 1 card per turn regardless of anything, it is just 1 card per rotation and nothing else, and that's gonna lead to some downsides, or at least just not a lot of upside, right? On top of that, you have the Villainous Choice, which is a mana advantage in the form of cheating, giving it a 3 out of 5, right? It's not land, and it's not treasure, but it is, let's just get something out for free, let's not use the mana in order to do that. Even though you don't get to select it, there are going to be times where an opponent doesn't want to lose the card in their hand because they need it be able to do stuff, so they will break down and just go, hey, you can put a card out, which saves you 4, 5, 6, 9, 12 mana something, depending on which constructs, robots, and vehicles you have. It also has the 33 card engine. As always, without that I wouldn't be making this video, giving it a total of 16 points. I think Eggman could get better if they give us more constructs, robots, and vehicles worth dropping. But that still has a limitation. And the limitation here is 9 out of 10 times your opponents are going to be choosing a discard. And discarding a card, although useful, eventually they don't have a card to discard. Oops. That is, I guess, the point. Because your goal is to limit your opponent's resources in their hands so that they can't do anything, right? But then you're all of a sudden going, okay, well, my villainous choice means nothing because the 2 of them are just going to choose to discard a card, which is nothing. And your opponent that does have a card in hand will just discard the 1 card usually. Also, there's a chance that you have no cards in hand. If you end up having no cards in hand, your construct, robot, and vehicles won't be triggered. Now, luckily, you will almost always have a card in hand, at least one, because you will draw a card at your end step before the villainous choice. Kind of fits together. I prefer it when cards say villainous choice. They may discard a card. If they can't, then this happens, right? So I wish it gave you more of like a you will get this if they can't do it, but they didn't do that. And so usually that just means if they have no cards in hand, you're not going to have them discard, which is okay. Again, if they have no cards in hand and you are drawing cards, you're in a winning position. So overall, I really like Dr. Eggman as a card, as a character. I've done Shadow already. I've done a video for Sonic. I'm probably going to hit all of them. I really like them, and I hope maybe one day we get more, but I highly doubt it. That's pushing it. That all being said, let's get in to the meat and potatoes of this video, the 33. So let's check that out. Theming, Fakers. Here's your Fakers. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces is 4 and a blue for a 3/1 human rogue. It enters the battlefield as a copy of another creature, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces abilities. The legendary rule doesn't apply to permanence control and partner. So, what Sakashima does is become a clone of Eggman. Now, why is having Fakers so good in this deck? Well, number one, and number two are his abilities. You are just going to be copying both abilities. This means for every clone you have of Eggman, you are not only getting an extra draw, you are having another villainous choice. This speeds up the process of them having no cards in hand, and if they really need that card to be able to make their deck work, they might end up giving you 2 construct drops, which is great. That's what you want. On top of that, Eggman has flying and a 3-power body. While not the best, this is still something to do, right? Being able to have Sakashima come out as a copy of Eggman, as a 3/5 flyer that can come in, hit your opponent when you want to, it allows you to spread the damage slowly but surely. And honestly, you don't have to go fast in this deck because no one has a hand to play with. Sakashima the Imposter, the original Sakashima, is 2 and 2 blue for a 3/1 legendary creature human rogue, and it comes into play. You may choose a creature and play. If you do, Sakashima comes into play as a copy of that creature, except it's still Sakashima. It's still named Sakashima the Imposter. Therefore, it doesn't break the legendary rule. It's still legendary. It gains for 2 and 2 blue. You can return Sakashima the Imposter back to your hand, back to its owner's hand at the end of turn. So you have a way to just return it to your hand if you want to, so you can make it come else. But mainly, again, Sakashima is just another copy of Eggman. Spark Double, 3 and a blue for a 0/0 illusion. It enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. If it's a creature, it enters with an additional loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker, and it isn't legendary if that permanent's legendary. Again, it's another Eggman. This time, though, we get a nice 4/6 Eggman. Sean, Father of Siths, is 3 a blue and a red for a 3/4 human scientist. When you attack, you may create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of target attacking legendary creature other than Sean, except it's not legendary and it's a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. When Sean leaves the battlefield, exile all synths tokens you control. So what Sean does, because Eggman is legendary and it can tap and attack pretty easily with flying, Sean does not have attack, so when you attack, you may create a tap and attack token. So Sean doesn't even have to attack. Eggman swings while Sean's on the field, and you can just make another tapped and attacking copy of Eggman. Non-legendary, that still gives you the abilities. It's an absolute great time. If Sean dies, you lose those, though. So there's a downside to it, but the very nice ability to be able to just constantly make more and more Eggman is great. Irenicus, I should have learned how to say this word first. Irenicus's Vile Duplication. Vile Duplication is 3 and a blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a token, has flying, and isn't legendary. if that creature is legendary. So, although, yes, this is going to give it flying, which is pointless because Eggman already has flying, it's just another way to get another Eggman. Quantum Misalignment is the same thing. 4 and a blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of a target creature, except it isn't legendary, and it has Rebound. So you get a second copy of Eggman at your next upkeep. Helm of the Host is another great way to make copies of it. 4 for legendary artifact equipment with equip 5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token copy of the equipped creature, except the token is not legendary, and it has haste. So that's great. Again, here's another Eggman, sweet. So last one being Lithoform Engine is 4 generic for a legendary artifact. For 2 generic, you can tap it to copy an activated or triggered ability. For 3 generic, you can tap it to copy and enter a sorcery spell. And for 4 generic, you can tap it to make a copy of target's permanent spell you control. So the cool thing is you can target itself. If you really want to, you can tap Lithoform Engine to copy Lithoform Engine, to copy Lithoform Engine, to copy. So then next turn, you can just tap them all to make a bunch of Eggman. It's kind of a funny process if you want to. But again, copies of Eggman. Or Sean. Copies of Sean can be very fun too. Now you might say, copy target permanent spell you control. Well, it's legendary. You're not actually targeting Eggman or Sean. You're targeting the non-legendary copies of Eggman or Sean. Because Spark Doubling comes as a copy of Sean. It's kind of fun. But Sean makes non-legendary copies. Sakashima, because you can't do the original Sakashima. Actually, if regular Sakashima's on the or new Sakashima's on the field, Lithoform Agent can just target Eggman. But like with Vial Duplication or Quantum or the Helm Host or Sean's or Spark Double, you can copy those with Lithoform Engine to make more copies of Eggman. So, fun times. This not only is a great way to have draw engine with your Eggman and to force your opponents to have no hand or possibly give you big creatures onto the field, it also just fits Eggman. The idea of him cloning himself and just having all these fakers all around that you can tell are fake because they're not legendary. They're like, okay, yeah, you're not legendary. I can tell you're not him. Oh, you're Sakashima. I can tell, right? Okay. Yeah, oh yeah, you have a different ability than Eggman. Right? We can tell you're not Eggman, right? But it makes you hesitate for a second. And I like that idea. I think like improper clones of himself just sounds like a really terrible scheme he would be cooking up. Next theming is the cost of discarding. Here's the thing. Discarding is the right choice. At all times, discarding is the right choice. Giving someone the chance to drop a 9-drop isn't what you want to do. But we can make people pay for choosing discard. And that's what this is all about. Raider's Wake is 3 and a black for an enchantment. When an opponent discards a card, that player loses for life. And in Raid, at the beginning of your end step, if you attack the creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. Extra discard, that's not wholly necessary in this deck. But forcing them to go, oh, I discard a card, I lose 2 life. I'm okay losing 2 life. But Migrime. Migrime? I thought it was a Migraine originally, but it's Migrime. Migrime? Migrime. I'm going to say Migrime. Migrime is 2 and a black for an enchantment. When an opponent discards a card, Migrime deals 2 damage to that player. Let's skip Geth for a second. Liliana's Crest. 1 and a black for an enchantment. When an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. Entropic Battle Cruiser. For 3 and a black, you get a artifact spacecraft with station, and for 1 and a at +1, whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. And then at 8+, it becomes a 3/10 flying death touch. With whenever this attacks, each opponent discards a card, and each opponent who can't loses 3 life. Akalaz Tech Deepest Betrayal. 3 and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary creature bat. God. Oh wait. Fell Spectre first. 3 and a black for a 1/3 Spectre with flying. When it enters, target opponent discards card. But whenever the opponent discards card, that player loses life. So the other 3 we'll get into, but a lot of life loss. If you've got 2 of these, that's 4 cards. That means if they discard, that's 4 life per card. At 2 life per card, that's 20 discards that lose them a game. At 4 life per card, that's 10 discards. At 6 life per cards, that's quick math in head. 7. That's 7 discards. And like, if you're crazy, if you've got like 2, 4, 6, 8, now it's okay. 8. That's 5 discards. They lose the game. You can stack these effects up and just go, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's make you lose the game for discarding. Geth's Grimoire is 4 generic for an artifact, and if opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you may draw a card. So if they all choose to discard 3 cards, that's 3 cards you get to draw. Very nice. Ekalostek, Deepest Betrayal, is 3 and 2 black for a 4/4 back god with flying and lifelink, and when it attacks, each opponent discards a card, and for each opponent who can't, you draw a card. And whenever an opponent discards a land card, you get to create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So yes, if they choose to discard a land during Eggman's Villainous Choice, oh look, I get a 1/1. Not bad. And when it dies, it returns to the land, and you can transform the land. That's not the big part here. And then Reanimate. I think this is a simple choice when you're running a discard deck, right? 1 black for a sorcery, put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life, you go to the mana value. If someone goes, okay, it's early game, you got Eggman now, I don't need this, like, 8 drop. Let's drop it. Discard it. You can go, oh, cool. Next turn, Reanimate your 8 drop. You can get a lot of work out of that. Next up, Payoffs. Big badniks. Let's talk about his badniks. Rolling Hamsphere is 7 generic for a 4/4 artifact vehicle. Rolling Hamsphere gets +1/+1 for each hamster you control. Whenever Rolling Hamsphere attacks, you get to create 3 1/1 red hamster creature tokens. Then it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of hamsters you control. Crew 3. So, +1/+1 for each hamster you control. So on attack, you make 3 hamsters, and that automatically makes it a 7/7, and it deals 7 damage, or 3 damage to any target. Next turn, it's 3 more, 3 more. It gets gross. Rolling Hamsphere rolls out of control, guys. And it's crew 3, which means any of your Eggman clones can copy it, or can crew it. Reaver Titan is 7 generic for a 10/10 vehicle with Void Shield, so protection from mana value 3 or less. Gatling Blaster, which whenever it attacks, deals 5 damage to each opponent. That's just good damage over time in this controlling deck. And crew 4. So your Eggman cannot crew it by itself, but 2 Eggmans can. Cybership is 6 generic for an 8/8 vehicle with flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you put the top 2 cards of that player's library onto the battlefield face down under your control. They're 2/2 Cybermen artifact creature tokens, crew 4. What's more badnicky, more Robotnik than turning your opponent's creatures and cards into more Robotniks? Sky Sovereign Council Ship, or flagship, is 5 generic for a 6/5 vehicle. This card is one of the first vehicles released, and it's still one of the best. Flying, when it enters or attacks, you deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker opponent controls crew 3. So Eggman can fly it himself, and yeah, being able to just enter and deal 3 damage to a planeswalker or a creature, and then every time it attacks, dude, like, it's got flying, so you're gonna hit them for 6 damage, and then you're gonna pop a creature. And if they got a flying creature, you pop the flying creature. This card does so much good for you, it's crazy. Deluxe Dragster is 4 and a blue for a 4/3 deluxe vehicle. Here's my kitty. Deluxe Dragster can't be blocked except by vehicles, because it's just a little too fast for non-vehicles to block it, I guess. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead, crew 2. Eggman can crew it, and it steals instant sorceries to the graveyard, which you're forcing them to discard. Weatherlight's 4 generic for a 4/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand and put the rest in the bottom of the library in a random order. Crew 3. Eggman can crew it. So yeah, what this is doing is it's just going to show you historic cards, which is artifacts, legends, and sagas. You don't have sagas in the deck, but you do have legendary creatures, just a few, but you definitely have artifacts. All the big badniks, Weatherlight's going to help you find them. The Regalia is 4 generic for a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle with haste, and when it attacks, you get to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Put that card in the battlefield tapped, and the rest in the bottom library in random order. Crew 1. Again, Eggman can crew this by himself, and it's just a good ramp spell. a 4/4 with haste coming in and just let's crew it and draw some card or get some ramp, which allows you to then manually cast these big spells if you can't get them out with Eggman spell. And the Indomitable, 2/2 blue for a 6/6 legendary artifact vehicle with trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, crew 3, which means Eggman can crew it. And you may cast the Indomitable from your graveyard as long as you control 3 or more tapped pirates and or vehicles. That does come in handy sometimes because you do have vehicles. I just noticed I put all the vehicles in one spot. That was not intentional. But yeah, the Indomitable is great, especially with all the clones of Eggman that have flying. Yeah. Some more, because, yeah, I mean, it's the fun part of Eggman. We wanted the deck to be fun. Work, but be fun. And the fun part is big badniks. Metalworker Colossus is 11 generic for a 10/10 construct, and it costs X less, where X is the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. Works, because vehicles aren't creatures. And you can sacrifice 2 artifacts to return Metalworker Colossus from your graveyard to your hand. A great way to get it back, and it's just a big boy. Look at that big boy. Castles, or Cityscape Leveler, which just fits Eggman totally with his giant botniks, both of these do, is an 8 generic for an 8/8 artifact creature construct with trample, and when you cast this spell, or whenever it attacks, you destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent its controller creates a tapped Power Stone token. Unearth 8. So you have a way to get it back, but the cool thing is, on attack and on cast, you are just blowing things up and saying, you can have a tapped Power Stone. That's fine. Mirror Battlesphere is 7 generic for a 4/7 artifact creature mirror construct with, when this creature enters, create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens, and whenever this creature attacks, you may tap X untap mirror you control. If you do, this creature gets +X -0 till end of turn where it deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So Mirror Battlesphere actually does some of these cards to other cards too, but I know Mirror Battlesphere has a Botnik version. I just didn't want to find the art. Sorry, not sorry. Noxus Gearhulk is 4 and 2 black for a 5. We have all the Gearhulks in here. Well, no, 2 of them. The other one didn't really work in this deck. 4 and 2 black for a 5/4 construct with Menace, and when this creature enters, you may destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, gain life equal to its toughness. That's fine. It's a classic way to just get a big 5/4 with Menace and also remove a problematic creature and gain life in the process. Cyberdrive Awakener is 5 in a blue for a 4/4 construct with flying, and other artifact creatures you control have flying, which is great. You have a lot of those. And when this creature enters, each non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until end of turn. This turns all your vehicles into 4/4 creatures. Kind of funny. But it also just turns all your artifacts into 4/4 creatures. And they have flying thanks to Cyberdrive, so you can kind of win the game off of it. Combustible Gearhulk is 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 construct and with first strike. And when it enters, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the player does it, you mill 3 cards. Then this creature deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. Since you're running some big cards, you could flip 3 lands and they could be fine. But you could flip like a 7 drop, a 6 drop, and a 4 drop. Maybe. Cool. Takes 17 damage. Barbed Servitor, yeah. Barbed Servitor is 3 and a black for a 1/1 artifact creature construct with indestructible, and when it enters the battlefield, you suspect it, which means it has menace and can't block. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose life. And when it deals combat damage, and whenever Barbed Servitor is dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. So it's indestructible. It's kind of this cool protection, right? Someone goes to burn the field or attack you, you can block with Barbed Servitor. Or it can't block, right? But it can attack for like a low amount of damage, meaning you will get in for some damage, draw a card, lose a life. But if they block it, oh, you dealt like 3 or 4 or 5 damage to it, cool, you lose that much life. So, that's good. Target opponent loses life. You can actually also work with your opponents with this card, which I love. You can swing at someone who's got like a 10/10 out, and they deal 10 damage to you, and you're like, cool. You lose the 10 life. You're out of the game. And Roaming Throne doesn't actually fit the construct stuff, but I needed to put it somewhere. It's 4 generic for a 4/4 column with Ward 2. And when it enters, you choose a creature type, and it's the current chosen creature type. And if a triggered ability of another creature you control with the chosen triggers, it triggers initial time. It just choose Eggman. What was Eggman? I forget. Why did I forget what Eggman was? Human scientist? Is it a human? Yeah, human scientist. Cool. You just choose human or scientist. Your choice. Scientist sounds more fun. Choose scientist. You choose scientist, and now all your Eggman clones double their triggers, which means an extra draw and an extra villainous choice off all of them. You might be wondering, well, shouldn't that be the golden potato? And the answer is, I mean, if you want it to be, but Roaming Throne is probably the golden potato of like 90% of decks now. It's kind of ruined the fun. It's like, here's Roaming Throne. What's it do? It doubles up your commander's really good triggered ability. Cool. That's insane. But I don't want that. I think it's boring to put him as the golden potato. It's an honorable mention. So, let's talk about the actual golden potato, the one card that made you want to build this deck. And Sean was another honorable mention. I'll tell you that right now. Sean was great. I really liked it. But the problem with Sean was if it dies, you lose everything, and it becomes a linchpin, and I don't like that. But Waste Not doesn't, and it's a classic. 1 in a black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a creature card, you get a 2/2 black zombie. Whenever they discard a land, you get a 2 black. And whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, you draw a card. So the 2 black doesn't help you, because almost all your discard is at the end of turn. So you're not going to be able to use that mana unless you have instant speed option, right? Which could happen. But being able to just know that forcing them to discard these cards is going to cause them to give you zombies or more draw can be really gross, okay? Whereas some of the other ones are doing doubling up the triggers. Doubling up discard when they have no cards in hand isn't helpful. And sure, drawing cards can be really good, and it is really good. It's like the linchpin of Commander. But if you draw too many cards, then you kind of don't know what to do with your hand, and you have to discard down to hand size. And so having too many Eggmen on the field can become a problem in some test plays where you just too many cards in hand, right? Now you got to discard them into the graveyard. And in that case, you could run some more recursion spells if you really want to in the deck. But with Waste Not, what you're aiming for is that whenever they discard a creature, being able to get a swarm of 2/2 zombies can really help you just finish the game off an otherwise hazy spot. And I really like that. So, Waste Not, in my opinion, is the golden pig. Or golden pig. The golden potato. Golden pig is the other person's. Why do I always forget his name? I don't know. Man Quarters. Golden potato. Deck building. Let's talk about that. Link is going to be in the description. Here's the deck. It's I think it's a pretty good deck. I've been following my own rules that I put into a podcast. Go take a look at that. Self-plug. Yeah. Where the goal of a deck is to land, in casual Commander, is to play a land, ramp on turn 2, and then get some type of card advantage out. And if that's like ramping on turn 3 and getting Eggman out on turn 4 and going, yeah, there we go, there's Eggman, now we can draw with him, that's fine. But I have a lot of good card advantages here, and I think it's overall just a reasonably good deck. So, let's get it ranked. Where does it land? In the ranking pool, boom, right there. There's Dr. Eggman. It's tied at number 8. Yeah, I enjoy Dr. Eggman. I think he's good and fun. So, if you like Dr. Eggman, and you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. Everyone have a great day. Peace.